Hey everybody, Pastor Hans here, and welcome to the Daily Dose. This week on the Daily Dose, our theme is, I believe in God, but. All of us have sort of that but there's some reservation, something that we have wondered about. There's something that maybe holds us back and causes us to doubt. Today I want to talk about science because I think for many of us, we've often seen science and religion as sort of rivals. Kind of like some of the greatest rivals we all know from our lifetime. Like if you're from Minnesota, there's the rivalry between the Vikings and the Packers. If you grew up of an era of my vintage, it was the Celtics and the Lakers. If you're into pickup trucks, it's Ford against Chevy. If you're a shopper, it's Target or Walmart. If you're into computers and phones, are you a Mac person or a PC person? Do you like Coke or are you a Pepsi guy? One of the greatest rivalries of all time actually took place in golf. In 1962 at the U.S. Open, Arnold Palmer was the sort of golden bear. He was the guy who had been around forever. He was the reigning champion. But there was this new guy, this young buck who came to town and made the U.S. Open his first start in the PGA. Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, at the end of the final round, they ended up tied. And it went into an 18-hole playoff. And guess what? Jack Nicklaus won. This rookie won the U.S. Open. And that would begin one of the greatest rivalries, this competition between Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. It would last for almost a decade. Well, why do I start with this? Here's what I think. For many of us, we see the relationship between science and religion as a similar thing, as a rivalry, if you will. It's interesting. Way back when, St. Augustine, he wrote these words. He said, "The perceived conflict between science and faith comes from a misinterpretation of the Bible." He actually suggests that seeing science and faith as rivals comes from our misinterpretation. It's not sort of a God thing that you have to choose one or the other. In fact, today I want to suggest that there are sort of three things that science does that actually enriches our faith. The first is this: if you want to learn about someone, what do? You study what they create. For example, if you want to know more about Michelangelo, what would you do? You'd go to the Sistine Chapel and study the beautiful works of art that he's created there. If you want to know more about the architect Frank Lloyd Wright, what would you do? You would study the homes that he had designed. He was an architect, so you study what he created. If you want to know more about Tom Brady, the football quarterback, what would you do? You would study all his Super Bowl wins. You'd study what he created. You see, here's the thing that science does for our faith. If you want to learn more about someone, if we want to learn more about who God is, what do? We study God's creation. The study of God's creation, another word for it is science. The second thing I think science does for our faith is this: studying science actually makes God bigger, people. Think about it. There are 37.2 trillion cells in the human body. That's incredible. There are 33,000 species of fish on this planet. There are 53,000 light years in our galaxy. And our galaxy is one of the smallest galaxies known. You see, if you study science, it actually makes God bigger. And the third thing I think science does for us as people of faith is this: science makes God's love for you and me so much bigger. I mean, think about it. I mean, look at your thumbs, people. You have opposable thumbs. Your dog wishes it had opposable thumbs. But God gave that to you. Why? Because God loves you. If you scratch yourself and you start to bleed, God created you with the ability to heal yourself. Your blood can clot. When you're outside on a beautiful summer day, you're actually receiving vitamins from the sun. There are your body produces 25 million new cells every single day. And you have enough blood vessels in your body that if you took those blood vessels and put them end to end, it would wrap around the earth 3 times. You know what studying science does? It makes God's love for people like you and people like me so much better. It's interesting. At the end of Arnold Palmer's life, Jack Nicklaus would speak and write endlessly, not about their rivalry, but about their friendship. The two of them would become deepest of friends. And maybe that's the way we should look at science and faith, not as rivals, but as deepest of friends. In the Bible, David wrote the Psalms. And in Psalm 19, he writes these words: "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." We study the heavens. We study the skies. We study God's creation. Why? So that we can know even deeper God's handiwork. So that we would know even deeper who this God is, how big this God is, and how big this God's love is for people like you and people like me. Thanks for tuning in today. If you like this and you're watching on Facebook, give us a thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, maybe you'd share it with a friend. Hit the bell so you get notifications. If you're watching on Cable Access 181, why don't you tell a friend? Have a good one.